Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SHOUTcraft America Winter. We're going to be going into the next game very shortly indeed. They are ready to rock and roll. It's going to be Hitman versus E.G. Huck.
I'm gonna get Belshire Vestige. This seems to be the go-to first map for everyone. It's the one that no one feels particularly strongly about in any way, either way.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. And what do you reckon to it on PvP?
I don't know. PvP, all the maps here are pretty generic besides Frost that come to mind immediately. They're all two-base maps with high ground mains. None of the naturals are absurdly open or absurdly closed. But I do suspect... I've never ever seen Hitman play PvP before. I've only ever experienced his PvZ, as he's only been a ladder player beforehand. So I don't know, but I have to expect that he's going to be doing a lot of one-base shenanigans. And from talking to a couple of Protoss players, he's apparently very, very good build order-wise. Just always seems to end up with build order advantages PvP. So, looks like I'm not really sure what's happening here.
Yeah, I'm hearing it on your end as well. Hopefully that will clear up. We'll try and sort that out. But anyway, into the game we go. And we actually did have a little bit of a message there from Hitman, who said that he is doing this for America. And Huck is a little bit indecisive about who he's doing it for, but hey. So it's
sorry, the sound still sounds a little bit weird to me, but is it
sounds
okay
fine on this end, so
okay.
I'm afraid I'm going to be Mr. Roboto for you for a while, but we'll get it sorted out. Alright, well, welcome to Belshire Vestige, ladies and gentlemen, and I bring you the scariest crow, aka E.G. Huck. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the southeast, versus his opponent to the northwest position, a man that has captured the hearts of many and broken the hearts of many more. To the northwest position from Sif Gaming, it is Hitman.
I don't know, I think Hitman's the far scarier of the two crows. He's the diverse cheeser, whereas Huck is more the control cheeser. Huck does pretty normal, pretty predictable stuff, even if he is going to be very aggressive, even if he is going to all-in you. And it's more on the back of his force fields and his unit control and just his decision-making. Whereas Hitman can do absolutely anything and has no shame about whatever he will be doing. And that's just so scary to play against because, I don't know, there's just so many options and they all require different counters and it can be very difficult to scout. And we see Huck already scouting around his base for proxy 2 gates. Hitman doesn't care. He has every probe mining. He's not worried about anything, whereas Huck is already playing a little bit defensively, a little bit worried. He's already in his head. Actually scouting everywhere for proxy 2 gates.
Yeah. And funnily enough...
That's the effect he has.
Yeah, and that's a fearsome reputation to have. It really is. It works. In fact, it's actually something I think that worked quite well for SOS as well. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm really, really good Protoss player. Oh, here's some cannons. Enjoy that. I mean, a little bit of lag there from Greg. Hopefully that will sort itself out momentarily. If not... Oh. Maybe. Sort of.
I'm not sure what's happening.
Almost. Maybe. Alright, we're going to have to see whether or not Idra is able to get out of this lag situation. If not, I will continue to cast solo until everything is actually sorted out. This is a little bad. Oh, it looks like we may have cleaned up. Okay. Alright. Cool, so the lag spike seems to have passed, which is nice. Anyway, we did see an 11 gateway, actually, from Hitman. A little bit early. He's going with the pylon almost immediately here. It, of course, did result in a faster cybernetics core there for Hitman. Now, assuming that... Yeah, what do you... Oh, what the... Okay.
Yeah, we do see a proxy Stargate coming out from him. I'm not sure what was happening while I was lagging, so I'm not sure what you noticed. But yeah, he sent that out. And as you said, the early gateway, the early cyber core, leads to a very, very early Stargate. And proxy Oracle, if it's unscouted, if it's undirectly countered. And we actually see a Sentry first, not a Stalker first, coming out from Huck. So this actually could be really, really scary for him. And he's scouted for the proxy 2 gates, he's scouted for the initial rush, and that was the extent of it. But he's actually setting the mothership core straight up, and he is going to see it. That's wonderful for him.
That certainly helps him out an awful lot. And noticing even a backup pylon there for Hitman actually placed to make sure that there's no way he's going to be depowering that anytime soon. Immediately, 2 gates go down here. So, and possibly even a 4th one actually was being thought about here for Huck. But what exactly does he need to defend this?
He's just going to pump out 3 gateway stalkers and actually going for a 4th gateway, so he's going to go for the kill. He's going to try and defend this and then just do a big immediate counterattack. The more conservative option is put down that Twilight Cancel, get up to Blink, get the mobility, maybe even push down a Robo and just expand and play as normal. But with those 4 gateways, he's going to look to hold off, and it's actually going to be a Void Ray instead of an Oracle. I'm not sure if that's because he knows he got scouted, or if this is just a cheesier version of it, but Oracle is the norm for Proxy Stargate.
This is not a bad little choice here, because of course it's going to kill those Stalkers pretty rapidly. He's focusing down the Mothership Core. Great trap! Fantastic force field there, allowing the probes to kill off the Stalker. But this Void Ray doesn't really have anything that can actually shoot it right now, as the final unit ends up going down. But there are Stalkers on the way, so I guess it depends how much damage can be done.
There's one more Stalker on the way that's fighting against a Void Ray, and a second Void Ray is about to join it. He doesn't have Warp Gate finished yet. He's spending a Chrono Boost on a gateway that's not actually producing a Stalker. I don't know.
That's it.
What the hell just happened?
That was
is that a thing, PvP? I've never seen that
I've never
before.
seen that done. Like, Proxy Void Ray, I assume it had... You pointed out earlier that maybe it was a reaction to it being scouted. But if you think about it, and it's the logical reaction, isn't it? Because what are you going to do if you scout a Proxy Stargate at that stage of production? What are you going to build in order to counter the Oracle? Well, you're going to build Stalkers. But since he didn't scout it earlier, those gates were later, and really it was only going to be 1 or 2 Stalkers. A Void Ray kills that. Yeah,
and he started out with a Sentry, so he didn't have the additional Stalker. Maybe if he had already had 2 as the attack came in, he might have been able to hold it off, but that just looked really scary. I don't know, I'm not a Protoss player, I don't have as much experience with the matchup, I'm not sure what he could have done differently there, short of starting out with the Stalker, which has its own weaknesses. And even then, it's Stalker against Void Ray. The Void Rays are pretty good against armored units.
Yeah, they're very good, in fact, against armored units. So, while that was interesting, and this could, of course, be a very short series because it is PvP, but I don't think that really indicates much, aside from the fact that you pointed out earlier that Hitman was shameless. He really is. He will do quite literally anything. It's a bit terrifying, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Bit terrifying.
That is pretty much the vein we expected this series to run in, though.
Yeah,
can't say I'm really too surprised to see that out of Hitman. And Huck, he was already paranoid. He was already scared about Cheese. You can only imagine it's going to be even worse going forward now.
Yeah, and that was really unexpected. No doubt it has been done before at some point, but I cannot remember the last time that I saw Proxy Void Ray in PvP in that situation. That was really
And to see it be so effective, it wasn't like there was anything special Hitman did about it. It wasn't like Huck was playing absurdly greedy.
No.
He even scouted and responded immediately. The one mistake he did was chrono boosting a gateway that wasn't actually in production, but that wouldn't have made any difference at that point anyway. I don't know. It was just absurd how easy it looked for Hitman.
Yeah, it just seems like you've got to scout that earlier. I don't see any other way around it. And you've got to throw down your gateways earlier as a direct result of that.
Yeah. He did put down the 4th gateway, so he had less minerals to... Like, if he had only been on 3 gateways, he could have produced an additional Stalker. And maybe that would have been enough to hold it off. Because it is a very, very cheesy build. If you hold off those Void Rays are a much bigger investment than the more standard Oracle there.
Yeah.
So if you hold it off, you can kind of win. But... I don't know. Then those are hard decisions to make on the fly, too, because he didn't know for sure if it was going to be Void Ray or Oracle. He should have sent the Mothership Core back out and checked, but at that point, it might have been too late to respond anyway.
Yeah, that is true. It did take him a while to find it, and it was a nice move. Hey, that's just the way of it. PvP is inherently kind of 1-base, 2-base anyway, so why not? Why not toss that out at the start of a series? And that might dictate the pace of the rest of this game. And I think the defense was probably about as good as it was going to get, because he wasn't going to kill that Void Ray at that point. It just wasn't going to happen. He did nail down the Stalker very well. Good force fields, got the probe surrounding there, but you can't really use anything other than harsh language against that Void Ray at that point.
I'm sure he inspired a lot of that. That has to be so frustrating to lose that way, because it really just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot more he could have done. Just those are the silly games. And now we get to see what Hitman has in store for us this game. Every game with him is just like an adventure.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, well, we're going to have a look at our players right here. We have, of course, the one and only E.G. Huck. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the northwest of Star Station TE versus his opponent to the southeast position, currently at 1 game in this best-of-5 series. It is Sif Gaming's Hitman.
In this game, he opens up with a more normal 13 gate,
yep.
And actually a kind of delayed 15 gas. So not looking for any kind of immediate rush this game. Second gas comes down immediately as well. So everything looking more standard thus far. No commitment to anything too weird just yet. And he was actually the one scouting for proxy 2 gates in his base this time, or just some kind of proxy. So not completely oblivious to the fact that Huck might be mad, might be looking for revenge.
Well,
but
whatever
Huck's still
wins.
playing defensively.
Yeah, whatever does the job. It's nothing out of the ordinary for Huck to cheese, of course. He's very good at it. A lot of Protoss players are.
That's the other thing. And when you're playing against someone like Hitman, it's kind of scary to do your own cheese because you never know what's going to happen. You might end up in really weird, like unusual situations. And it's actually kind of putting Huck on the defensive here, which is not where he usually is. He's usually the player dictating the pace. Like I mentioned in the first game of Scarlet against Hitman, it's really good to cheese against cheesers because you throw them out of their element.
Yep.
And Huck is just already out of his element because he's kind of intimidated by Hitman and he doesn't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't exactly blame him either, considering what ended up happening there. But as you said, Hitman playing a much more standard game this time around, gets in and scouts pretty much everything. Huck, on the other hand, does not. He scouted for proxies, and that really was about it. And I want to keep track of that probe, because Lord knows what it could do.
After seeing the probe go down here, there Huck immediately goes and checks for a pylon as well, just leaving nothing unturned.
Hitman is doing this on purpose. I don't see any other way around it. He's got to be trying to freak Huck out at this point. His reputation now precedes him, and it's gotten to the point where he's able to make otherwise pro players who are very calm and very solid in their mindset do some pretty weird things.
Yeah, we saw against Scarlet, he's very adept at mind games. He definitely understands how he plays, and he makes the most of it in pretty much every aspect. And that's a surprising amount of maturity for someone who's pretty much just a ladder player. Most ladder cheesers will just kind of do their builds and get it over with, and they'll win or they'll lose. But he definitely shows a lot of self-awareness and really takes advantage of his style and his reputation. And we see Twilight Council against Robo.
Okay.
So that could end up pretty well for Huck. See, if he goes for DT, that's not going to be so good. And that is the cheesier option, so I would say from him that's the more likely. But could also be just normal playing Stalker.
Yeah, 2 more gateways come down, but that's not really indicative of anything at this point. That could still be DT. Immortal is on the way. Let's see if it's going to be Blink coming out here. It is, actually. So, yeah, as you said, this works out pretty well for Huck.
Yeah, it'll kind of come down to just control how well he uses the Stalkers. And Huck, I'm almost sure he's just going to go try and drop a Nexus once he has the Mortal Staff to secure it. I really feel like he's going to be playing pretty timid and conservatively this series. He's not going to want to go for anything too aggressive. But I think it would really behoove him to play a little bit more freely. And actually a 4th gate coming down, so it's going to be Blink Stalker cheese from Hitman. No real surprise there.
No, not
and
really.
He already has everything out on the map. A scouting Phoenix, Stalkers running around. Actually, no pylon out, or no, it was actually up at the top right. Does have a probe out. He's headed out to start dropping his forward pylons. And Huck actually has a Stalker on the map that could get caught here if he's not careful.
Yep, that is true. And this Mothership Core, though, is taking some fire. Not going down, though. And, of course, Hitman looking to try and back off and save that Mothership Core. Doesn't want to lose that. That would be crippling. In the meantime, though, that's actually bought him just a little bit of time. He is working on this 3rd Immortal here, but he's still only doing this off 2 gateways. What do you reckon to the chances of Huck actually holding this?
I don't know, this feels pretty good for him. 3 Immortals against Stalkers is a ton of firepower. He is 4 gate. It's going to be a lot of Blink Stalkers.
Oh, this Stalker making its way into the base. Hitman actually forced to warp in 1 Stalker at the back here.
That helps quite a bit. A bit of a distraction. Shows him exactly what's up, although I think Huck already knew. He's got those 3 Immortals out. He has a decent amount of support for him. And he has a Planetary Nexus, which is a huge amount of defensive power. I'm not really sure how Hitman expects to make this work. It feels almost suicidal to go in there against that many Immortals and just that much DPS from everything.
Twilight Council come down for Huck as well, so it will only be a matter of time before his own Blink is done. Admittedly, his game's probably going to be done before the Blink finishes. But as you said, there is a lot of defensive clout here, but he's waiting for another wave, waiting for that Planetary Nexus to go off, trying maybe to pick off the Mothership Core, because it's about to have enough energy for another one of those. The Immortal at the front is actually going to get killed immediately. Not the best start here from Huck. And Huck is actually forced to throw down that Time Warp as well. Nice little Blink on top of the Immortals, but Hitman is taking a lot of damage here, and another Immortal comes out at this point, so that's going to shove that one back. The Twilight Council is now finished, so Blink may very well end up starting for Huck, and it does. But with 2 Immortals here, Hitman's going to be struggling hard to break this.
Yeah, not really the best control at all from Hitman there on the Stalkers. Losing the Mothership Core for free as well. He did some damage, but with those Immortals out, with his own Blink coming up, Huck is going to be quite ahead in tech pretty shortly here. And back at home, Hitman not really doing anything at all, besides not spending his Chrono Boost, just kind of sitting there on those 4 gateways, continuing to produce units. Getting more and more Zealots, which helps a little bit against the Immortals. And he doesn't have a Mothership Core, he's not rebuilding one, so he's not going to have a Planetary Nexus. But that's just, those Immortals, they make a really big difference, and Hitman hasn't shown the Blink Soccer micro to compensate for it.
No, a big aggressive blink onto the flank there, which breaks the hardened shields, but it does leave him exposed for yet more shots from the Immortals. So Hitman gets the bad end of that trade as well, and he's got to keep warping in, but Blink's about to be done. And once Huck has Blink against Hitman's Blink, I don't see that going well for Hitman.
No, Huck definitely has the better control here, and those Immortals, they're staying alive, and with the Blink to protect them as well, I don't see much happening here. I think Hitman's build has kind of run its course, and Huck's completely stabilized. Only a 1 probe advantage, but the tech advantage is pretty significant. It would be more than enough to carry Huck through the mid-game, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
If it even gets there.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I mean, once Blink is done and once Hitman sees that, I think that will probably be it for him. A big aggressive Blink again on top of the Immortal. Picks off one. He's going to focus down a second one as well, which is not too bad. Blink is about to finish here for Huck. It's another... Funnily enough, it is another 10 seconds, which actually gives Hitman this momentary swing in momentum. Another Blink comes in, but it blinks right on top of the Immortal and doesn't shoot it, so he's driven away, and now Blink is done. So this may very well be the nail in the coffin here for Hitman.
Yeah, if we look at the unit counts, it's only a 2-stalker advantage for Hitman, and he's not really even producing full-time off his 4 gateways, so I don't really see that accelerating. And the Immortal, really sloppy soccer control. He does get the Immortal, but he loses way too much for it, and the Blink of Huck kicks in as well, and that's going to be the end of it for Hitman.
Yeah.
He may stick around, but I don't see any opportunity for him to win now.
No, I mean, he's probably going to lose another Stalker here as well. It would require, I suppose, a ridiculous miss micro from Huck, which is not really the kind of thing he's known for, so it seems rather unlikely. Hitman has continued to try and make this work, but I don't think there's really any chance of that happening. I think Huck's probably confident enough just to produce Stalkers and out-micro Hitman.
Although Huck has stopped the Immortal production entirely, so it is now just down to 3 gateway against 4 gateway. And, I don't know, no, Hitman's soccer control just isn't that good.
It's not good enough. He blinks right on top of them there. Really, really nice play there by Huck. Possibly wasting a few shots here and there, but certainly more than enough to crush Hitman's army, so that shouldn't really be a factor. Yeah, that was a case of being out-microed if ever I've seen it. Hitman was not able to make that work at all. That's been driven back, and, well, what is his transition out of this? As you said before, there's a big tech advantage for Huck. Actually, a big army advantage as well. But the probe count is still equal.
Probe count is equal, but Hitman, I don't know. I'm kind of biased just because it definitely feels like Huck is the better player here, so I'm just kind of assuming he's going to win going forward. Neither of them has an amazing transition, but Huck just is going to out-control. And plus, Huck has the Nexus coming down. Hitman is showing no inclination to expand or tech or really do anything besides continue to make Stalkers. And Huck can kind of do whatever he wants now. He's just going to chase him down the Stalkers, keep control of the game, expanding behind it. Very comfortable situation for him. And Hitman, I don't really know what he's doing. He's kind of losing Stalkers every once in a while.
Yeah, he's just trying to hold on to it and maybe hope Huck makes a big mistake that allows him to get the momentum back in the game. And he gets a shot off there, but Huck actually blinks away from that killer volley, so that really doesn't make that much of a difference. Aggressive blink forward, but Huck should be able to make that work. His blink wasn't off cooldown, I assume, right there. And Hitman actually just has that slight lead there, whether he's able to make it work for him, but that gives the momentum back to Huck after that as the reinforcements come behind here. There is no probe on the map, by the looks of it, for Huck, so he's actually not trying to end the game. He's trying to get a Nexus down.
Yeah, he's just kind of very casually applying a lot of pressure to Hitman. He's like down a gateway, he's walking his units all the way across the map to reinforce, and somehow still winning fights. This really shouldn't be happening. It's kind of a testament to Huck's control versus Hitman's. And Hitman's still no tech, no expansion, no nothing. He got a Mothership Core out now. That's not really going to make a whole lot of difference. I imagine he's just going to build up another couple of waves of Stalkers and try to all-in on Huck's Nexus.
Seems that way.
I don't know how well that's going to work. Huck's actually producing quite a few probes here, and he hasn't added any additional gateways. He's not producing any Immortals. So maybe if he gets really cocky... Does he have a Mothership Core? I don't think he ever replaced it. So he doesn't have a Planetary Nexus to help him hold on. Maybe Hitman can just kind of all-in and something will work out?
Maybe. It's a possibility, but...
Because if we look at the Stalker count, it's a 3-Stalker advantage for Huck, so I guess perhaps not.
Yeah, that's the real problem, I think, and even with a time warp, that's really not going to make that much difference against Blink Stalkers. An Immortal is actually on the way as well. I think if that Immortal finishes, then that's just going to be it. I don't see Hitman managing that. He's building his pylon, he's going for a big final attack, hoping Huck makes a big mistake in army control.
Don't really see that happening. Even with the time warp, it's a pretty big deal. Not that big of a deal, though. I am surprised at the lack of Mothership Core from Huck. And I'm not sure if he just like forgot that he lost it in that initial engagement, or if he really just doesn't care. But one way or another, the Immortal does come out, join the battle. That should be the end of it here. Hitman just gonna go in for his one last big attack. Good positioning from Huck.
Yeah, looking pretty good. The Immortal on the top of the ramp there to make sure it's a bit more difficult to blink on top of it, and that was soundly driven back. He didn't lose that many Stalkers, but he's still in an ugly spot. The second Immortal's about to finish, at which point I think Hitman just got to give it up. It's absolutely not going to happen. Goes for one more final push to try and make this happen. Let's see if he can do it. The Immortal's at the front, which is maybe not the ideal place for it to be, and it is going to go down, but an aggressive blink forward here by Huck means like, oh, you want to take that? Well, that's no problem. I'm going to make that work regardless. He goes in and attempts to finish off Hitman's army. Blink control between both of them is certainly going in favor of Huck. Huck knows it, jumps right on top of it with the 2-Stalker advantage, rapidly turns that into a 10-Stalker advantage, and there's the GG. Well,
Huck made that look quite easy. Clearly just kind of the superior player. Hitman's Blink Micro was really kind of questionable. He would just randomly jump in like half of his Stalkers in an aggressive blink that didn't really accomplish anything. And I don't know, the only thing he really knew how to do was either blink in on an Immortal or do the 1x1 blink back that pretty much everyone can do.
Yeah.
Huck just looked much more comfortable. If Hitman's going to win this, it's going to be on the back of his build orders for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And I wonder just how many more of those he can really have up his sleeve. But then again, I mean, he is a player that does a hell of a lot of that, so I don't know, maybe he does have something that we haven't seen before. That proxy Void Ray play is certainly a little unusual, at least in tournament play from my honest experience, but yeah, we'll see. Hitman surprised us before, multiple times in fact, so I don't want to underestimate him.
No, he's certainly capable of winning, and I'm really curious to see what he is going to pull out next. And I would be really scared still if I were in Huck's shoes. I don't think he's going to relax too much even with that win. But that does have to inspire a little bit of confidence. It tells him that if he just manages to sit back and get decent build orders, if anything else, he can carry himself through it. So
that's certainly true.
Just a matter of surviving.
Derelict Watch is going to be the next one for this particular series. We're on one apiece in this best of 5. One of these guys will go on to face Marsa in the finals, and one will, of course, go out in combined 3rd to 4th place. They are ready to rock and roll. I am ready to rock and roll, so let's get into it.
And now the question is, does Huck go for a similar build order, or is he worried about Proxy Stargate again? Because that build order last game, that's the problem with PvP. It's much like we were talking about earlier in CvP. Even if you know your opponent's going to cheese, there's enough different options that there's nothing that's absolutely safe. Like, you rush out that Robo, they go Proxy Stargate, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.